Beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. I don't know why I had to think about it. I almost forgot the name of my channel. I'm like, I guess you could call it a pod. Yeah, I guess. We are here to talk about Kandi and the gang. So let's get into it. Yeah, so we pick up exactly where we left off with Philip and Torin going back and forth. And I will give it to Torin. He shut Philip up. And as much as y'all know, my man Philip, you know, this particular episode, Philip did a lot of wrong to me. However, so did Kandi and Don Juan to me in the way that they are managing, because basically you have Torin coming in like, listen, I just came kind of to fill you out because I'm already here. You're not hiring me. There's nothing you can do. And I totally understand Philip in terms of like, listen, I don't want to deal with him, but I'm jumping ahead. So anyway, they go back and forth. Torin very disrespectfully lets him know, listen, you have a lot to prove, buddy. And he calls him buddy on the way out. I'm sorry, it's disrespectful. It is. I know Philip leaves a lot to be desired, but he is still your boss. So there's a way to talk to him. I'm sorry. So as soon as he walks out, Philip picks up the phone and I'm like, I know who you calling. So now Kandi gets there. She sits down. She meets with Torin. Philip walks past. He speaks. She speaks. You could tell something's wrong with him. And Torin is like, he fake. And she's like, what you mean? And I'm just like, Kandi is too friendly and too much friends. She cares so much about what her staff thinks of everything. Her management style is just pretty awful to me. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But he begins to tell her what happened, and then Philip goes over to speak with Don Juan and tell him what happened. So of course their stories are not coinciding. Like, he's making himself look better, Torrin's making himself look better. Philip tells Don Juan he don't like him, he's not dealing with him, and Don Juan is just looking. You guys, problem I see, way too many managers. Okay, it's way too many managers. This manager is managing this person and then this and that. And you guys, I try not to look at reviews before I do my review. But if I do and I agree with somebody, I shout them out. Y'all know I love Rocks and I watch Rocks, and she was exactly right. Like what she said, completely and totally right in terms of Don Juan and Kandi either they need to be all the way hands on and they take over and do all the managing, or hands off and leave the place. I mean, just leave it. I mean, I know they're there now for the show, but it's too many conflicting, too many managers in one little place. That's the problem I see. And basically tells Kandi that he tried him, and she's like, well, yeah, he left out the space. Now you can go back and do what you need to do. He's like, I'm going to do that, but I'm telling you, if he tried me, I'm going to react. And I'm like, you are sitting here telling your boss that you're going to act a fool and be unprofessional. Like, the downfall of this place, you guys, is the workers and Kandi. Kandi wants all these workers back. Kandi, they are the downfall of this place and her management style. I'm telling you. Now, I'm not saying that Philip is all the way right, because he did a lot wrong in this episode. I'm gonna call him out, but the fact that you allow all these people to get this shit off the way they want to get it off to you as the manager, as the owner. I'm sorry, not even you're the owner, and he's telling you, I'm gonna react. Who are you talking to? If you react, you're gonna be out the door, period. Like, I don't understand why she's bringing them back, other than they all make good TV. And anyway, let's move on. Okay, so Kandi wraps up with Torin and she meets Philip and Don Juan in the back room, which is not an office. It's another sitting room for, guests or whatever. And they definitely need an office. Like, why would you do all this stuff on the floor? But they do. They have this conversation on the floor. Philip says, listen, if you guys, he came in like, we need him and I don't need him. Basically, like, you guys hired him. So you guys, he can report to you guys. I don't have to deal with him. And Kandi says, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm going to need you to hold your mule, as Brian would say, because I pay you. This is my establishment. And I'm not managing none of y'all, even though she is managing all of them because she's there every day. Why are you there every day? But she's like, listen, you don't tell me who you will and will not manage. But the thing is, you have him dealing with people that he would not hire. And I feel like if you're putting him in charge, then he should be in charge. And he should be in charge of who who he's hiring. Like he should have some say so in who's going to help him get ahead. And you hiring all of these people who they just have terrible work ethic. They just do, and their attitudes suck. All of them. Well, I won't say all of them, but yeah, I just feel like if he's going to be the one running the place, why does he have absolutely no say in who comes in and out? But again, Kandi let him know, and I wasn't mad at it because Philip does need to be knocked down a peg sometimes. But she let him know, listen, I own the place and I pay you, so I don't know who you're talking to right now. Kandi starts on this bullshit, you guys, about how, listen, Philip, you tripping now because you've dealt with difficult people before and you've never told me you can't manage them. And basically saying, like, these people are not on point and we brought you in to make them on point. Listen, I'm here to make your place run smooth, but I'm not here to rehabilitate all these people, all these people with super issues, and they all have issues. That they do. They all have issues, you guys. And no, that's not my job. It's not to make them better people in the long run. If you can't bring in some already good people, what the hell, Kandi? And she is for real. Like, listen, you said you can handle difficult situations, so do it. I get that. But why are you setting him up for failure with these people? These people that have already been there, failed, left, and now you want them back. Yeah, I had a whole lot of opinions on this episode, I'm telling you. Speaking as a manager, sorry, because yeah, it's just she's setting him up for failure, even though he does need a better approach. But this is bullshit. The fact that he has no say in who comes and goes, I don't like it. Then we meet at Patrick's house, and it's Patrick and Torin. And since Torin is an event planner, I guess he knows how to decorate. So Patrick wants him to decorate their apartment. And I'm like, Melvin lives there too. Where's Melvin? Probably his grandma's house. But he's showing him around. He's again calling his girlfriend a cougar who is what? She's 2 years older than him, according to the other people. He said 4, but I could swear the other people said she's only 2 years older than him. I don't know, but the girl is not a cougar. She's young as heck, just like him. So he has this big painting of, I guess, a cougar that he wants up. What's her name? Safari, I think her name is, something like that. But anyway, he's showing him around. He wants things done. He's not asking Melvin, and dude is like, does Melvin have a say? Is he gonna care? And I'm like, well, that was a good question from Torin. Then he opens a closet and is like, he wants all kind of whips and chains and things and stuff like that. I don't know, y'all. I'm just not feeling Patrick. Not feeling his energy. I mean, I'm just not feeling him. I feel like he is overinflated and he shouldn't be. Not a bad looking guy, but he gives me Goof Troop, and I don't like Goof Troop. So all right, so now we're looking for Dom. Dom is nowhere to be found. They don't have a bartender. Brian's like, where's Dom? Chandrika's like, where's Waldo? Who knows? She's getting on him about bussing his tables. They don't have a busser. He's not making sure his tables have silverware and everything. So just kind of the ball is being dropped everywhere. So Chandrika actually seems to be stepping up. She's like asking Brandon, who are you texting Dom? No, I'm texting a plumber because the sink is stopped up. She's like, who made the schedule? Because they don't have a busser. They don't have what is Dom? Bartender or whatever. And he's like, I did. And Brian's like, oh, crickets. And I'm like, Brandon, what are you doing, dude? You're a manager. What are you doing? We have Brandon telling them Chandrika's on her way, but really he hadn't talked to her yet because he calls her after he leaves them. And Brian is steady complaining. Brandon lets her do whatever, and she comes strolling in late all the time like a freaking show pony. And it's hilarious because this is exactly what employees do. You guys, they just complain, complain, complain. Everybody can do everybody else's job better. And everybody has a situation and a problem with the way you doing it. Like, it's a mess. So that's realistic. I can give them that with this show. It's very realistic in the fact that employees and managers, like everybody at work, just be a hot mess. So Dom tells Brandon that she just finished dancing and she on her way. She ain't give him a time or nothing, and he's just like, okay, okay. Ugh, Brandon needs to go. See Brandon sitting at the bar eating, like full on eating at the bar. While it's disgusting, we're not there yet, but you're sitting at the bar eating seriously? Oh my god. So anyway, he Brian says, "Listen, I'm gonna sit at the bar and eat with Brandon because you don't do things that you're not supposed to do because your employees are watching Brandon, and that's exactly how they be thinking. Oh, well, if you can do it, then I can do it. So why are you doing that?" Anyway, Brian says you need to be behind there making drinks. Oh, Dom is on the way. You can make the drinks or whatever. I'm sorry, but in management, still you need to pick up some slack. Like, you still have to make sure that it runs smoothly. So if they need you behind the bar, if you know how to do it, just do it. So Brian is a little frustrated because, everybody knows his situation and that he's fighting sobriety. Well, he's not fighting it, but he's a recovering alcoholic and he would prefer not to be around the drinks or whatever. And Brandon is just eating up some stuff. Like, go ahead, make the drink. So yeah, he's frustrating. Next, we have Philip asking Chandrika how everything is going, and she's letting him know everything that's happening. Brandon came in, sitting down, Dom was late, this and that, and Philip gave her kudos. He's like, "You didn't stop going, you kept going," and she's like, "Well, everybody can't be me." So it was cool to see them getting along. And Philip even said, "Listen," and I like the way he took it. He said, she's not really telling on them. She's just telling where she has to pick up somebody else's job in their slack. And she basically told him, listen, I just had to do Brandon's job. That's not okay. So then he goes up to Brandon to see how everything is going. Phil asks Brandon how the day is going, and he's like, smooth, it's good. And Phil starts laughing because clearly Chandrika just told him everything that's going wrong. So it's good for you because you are doing nothing but sitting here. And he's like, what you doing? Taking a break? You just sitting down, chilling out? He's like, come walk with me, talk with me. Let's talk about the day. And so he's just kind of letting Brandon know, listen, you can't really be sitting and on your phone doing nothing because they're looking at you. In layman's terms, that's basically what he was letting him know. You can't just do nothing. You can't just be sitting around and letting the employees see you do nothing because then in turn they're going to want to do nothing. You have to do more. You have to be proactive. And then in the confessional, Brandon is like, yeah, their styles of managing is different. And I'm like, yeah, because you just don't. You don't. And believe it or not, he wasn't just talking to Brandon. He was talking to another lady too. And it said at the bottom that she was another manager. I'm like, God damn it, another manager for this one little bitty restaurant. Are you kidding me? How many freaking chiefs are we going to have? How many cooks in the kitchen or whatever the saying is? It's just too many of them. I guess after work, they all meet up at a place to eat and have drinks, as Dom Unique said. And when Brandon comes, Torin is like, that's yo. She said, my man. And she's like, mind your business. And Torin is like, yeah, he knows what's going on. But she's smart. She likes to keep it to herself or whatever. So they over there making googly eyes and talking to each other, her and Brandon. Drika shows up with her guy, Junebug. And at this time, Patrick is inviting everybody to his housewarming. And we find out that Junebug and Patrick got into it. So Chandrika's like, nah, it ain't looking good for them coming. Brian lets them know he doubted all the way back. He's having lemonade. And once again, we hear his story about the pandemic and, what a dark place he was in. He has a really, really, really sad story. I just watched his speak on it. Well, I kind of fast forward a little bit, but he has a very sad story, and I actually really do like Brian. So, yeah. Speaking of speak on it, you guys, you gotta watch the one with the OLG ladies. When I tell you it was hilarious, it was the funniest thing I watched this past weekend. And I started not to watch it because I was like, I really don't care. Like, I don't really get off into the whole speak on it thing. But when I tell you hilarious, freaking hilarious. Those three sisters, hilarious. But yeah, so they hear a little bit more of Brian's sad story. And I mean, it really is sad. So we'll be praying for Brian. Oh, so Brandon is finally having a meeting and trying to be a manager and telling everybody what they need to do and everything. I don't know. Maybe he's done it before, but looks like he's trying to step it up and be a manager. And then they say a prayer and go to work. Chandrika in the confessional is like, God, please. Would she say save them from this unnecessary meeting or something? But unnecessary meeting had me dying because oh my God, there's always so many unnecessary meetings, unnecessary webinars, unnecessary, just unnecessary stuff you got to sit through all the time. um, okay, yeah, y'all, that was funny to me because should be unnecessary. Here we go. Brian and Rashard want to take a break, and Rashard is like, we can't sit at the bar, and Brian looks down at Brandon sitting at the bar, and he's like, Rashard is like, but Brandon's a manager, yeah, but he shouldn't be sitting at the bar still. So Brian was still dead ass wrong. You're a grown man. You know what you should and should not be doing, and you knew you should not have set your ass down at that bar. Brandon ain't supposed to be there, but you definitely ain't supposed to be there. So what is the whole thing with, oh, he's doing it, I can do it? You are no longer 12 years old. Be a grown man and go sit down somewhere and eat. Brandon comes over and asks Rashad and Brian to get up. And Brian is like, I'm not sitting. He's like, you are sitting. You need to get up or whatever. So he's just giving him like, he's being flippant. And Brandon is like, listen, you need to get up. Then we have Brandon telling Philip what happened and the fact that he didn't appreciate the way Brian spoke to him and he was just kind of not respecting his authority and everything. And in the confessional, he was right. He's like, listen, he hasn't found his voice. And it's like, if you don't speak up, then it's your fault. So basically, you're saying you didn't like the way he spoke to you and how it happened in front of customers and everything, but you didn't take care of it then and there, or you didn't pull him to the side and let him know you have an issue. You want Philip to do it. But then you want to go in the confessional and say, well, the way that we manage is different. I don't do all this. Well, maybe you should, because how are you a manager, but you can't manage and you are asking another manager to help manage for you? Tell him I was mad at that and he shouldn't be talking to me like that. Seriously, you're a manager, but you have an issue with the way Philip does it, but you want him to do it for you. Makes no sense. Then Philip goes to Don Juan and he's telling him, and I'm like, see what I mean? It's just too many people. Of course he's gonna have a boss too because he's not the owner, but it's just too many people that you gotta tell and go through. And who's really running this shit? Is Don Juan really the the one running the entire place? It's just too much. So he tells him, and Don Juan says, listen, we need to have a conversation before it gets out of hand. Don Juan is not happy with the fact that Philip keeps having to step in with Brandon. He's like, it's showing that you're not ready to be a GM. You can't manage. They all sit down and Brandon lets Brian know, listen, when I said something to you, I didn't like your response to me. It's like you didn't take me seriously. And he says, okay. And Don Juan is just like, look, he's not happy with it or whatever either. And then Philip joins in and he's like, listen, Brandon gave you a pass because me, I'm fed up. So they start, of course, going back and forth. So right here is where Philip loses his cool. And, Brian's like, why are you fed up? And he's just very monotone or whatever. And Philip is like, because you don't do anything. And mind you, all of this is once again happening on the floor. They're not in an office or anything like that. You have customers all around. And he's telling Brian he's not doing anything and I can fire you. And the way he said it, I can terminate you. I'm like, are you sure? Because you don't sound too sure of yourself. And he tells him he's been in his shoes before. Brian is like, you haven't been in my shoes. I wear 8. What size are you? And that would annoy me too. Listen, if we are having a serious conversation, stop playing. Stop trying to be cute. Stop giving me lip back or whatever. But also, Brian went from 0 to 10 like in no time flat. Philip, for no reason. Like you just flew off the deep end for no reason. So Philip continues to go on his tangent and lets him know this is no good. You are no good for this place or whatever. The type of people that I want to bring in. And he's like, so just so that we're clear, he is now suspended. And Brian is like, based off what? And I guess he does kind of yell a little bit. And then Don Juan is like, why are you yelling? Philip says, based off that. Don Juan is like, come on, walk with me, talk with me. In the confessional, Don Juan is frustrated because he's like, listen, Brian was definitely just insubordinate. However, Philip is on fight number 3, and he's tired of stepping in for all of Philip's fights. Like, dude, if you can't manage better than actually getting into it, then there's an issue with that. Outside, Don Juan is telling Brian that was real disrespectful. And he's like, he can't demand respect if he don't give it. He's disrespectful. Look at how he talked to everybody. And he's like, everybody, says the same thing about him. Nobody likes him. And Don Juan is like, I don't care. Everybody is not you. Everybody is not your employment here and everything. Like, you can't just be talking disrespectfully to him. Don Juan lets him know, listen, Philip is here to carry out orders from the owners to get the establishment running the way the owners would like for it to be run. He's not going anywhere. So go ahead and tell Brandon that you're going to be clocking out for the day because you are suspended, as Philip said. And y'all, I'm liking Don Juan on this show. I didn't like him again. I didn't like him on Roa, but this show, listen, he's making all the sense. I'm telling you. Now we have Don Juan going back in, and Philip is letting him know, listen, I'm extremely upset about what just happened. So basically, in the confessional, he lets us know he's mad about the fact that Don Juan took him outside and kind of what he thinks is that he kind of coddled Brian because he's not privy to what actually happened. And that's not what happened, but he felt like he kind of undermined him a little bit. And I get it. I do get where Philip is coming from. However, we know the conversation and we know that Don Juan upheld his decision and let him know that yes, he is in charge. I guess he could have done it in front of Philip, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, Philip is pissed. It's so funny how everybody be going off on Philip, but in the confessional, so Don Juan is like, what you're not gonna do is sit up here and tell me what I'm gonna do, and every time we sit down, such and such, and I'm like, yeah, but that's in the confessional. So in front of him though, he's like, yeah, what you're not gonna do is keep giving me ultimatums. You keep telling me every time we sit down what we or what I or what you will or will not be doing. So Don Juan held his own, and he listen again had to put Philip back in his place. In his car confessional, Philip says he needs to go back in and talk to Don Juan and make it right so that they have a decent working relationship. And I'm like, yeah, because Don Juan is actually on your team. So you need to get that together, bud. All right, so then we have Derek, the goof troop, and his girlfriend, and he goes to see her at work. She's very happy she's doing something on him. I guess she's an esthetician or something like that. I'm not sure, but she's doing a procedure on him, and while she's doing it, they're talking, and it is hilarious because he is definitely whipped. She's like, he's telling her about the decorating, and he had Torin over, and she's like, well, you don't really need him because you got me. I can help decorate. He's like, oh, okay, then we don't need him. Like, real quick, oh, okay, we don't need him. I'm like, dang, she running it. And then he's telling her about the housewarming party. And he's like, yeah, I invited everybody, which includes Chandrika. And she's like, yeah, I shouldn't have to be put in that situation. I disagree. And he's like, oh, well, she's not coming then. Oh, you're disinviting her? Yes, I am right now. And I was like, dang, pick up your balls, man. But I ain't mad at her. Listen, she regulating. It's not his house alone, though. So, ma'am, I feel like Melvin is going to end up having an issue with them, like really being all up in that house. She's going to be the third roommate, and I'm going to need her to pay something towards rent. Sorry, but you're going to need to pay something, ma'am. What's her name? Safari. Right, so then we find out that Chandrika's been swimming since she was 4, and she's really good at swimming. So she's coming to do, she also teaches, I guess, water aerobics or something like that. So she came to do it with the OLG girls. Kandi came, Dom came. It was hilarious because when Kandi came to the door, Mama Joyce was like, oh, hey, there's my baby. And oh, hey, gorgeous. And Kandi was looking at her like, really? Really? This is not what we do. So either Mama Joyce had some cocktails or something. I don't know. But when she got in that pool, she was acting a fool. Like, let's do this. Like she was really on 10. Aunt Bertha, not so much, not feeling it. And so it was a cute little moment. They end up having lunch, and they talk about Philip. Bertha can't stand him. The other ones like him. And what's her name? Chandrika was saying how he suspended her for no good reason or sent her home for no reason. Mama Joy said, nah, he ain't sent you home for nothing. Whatever it is that you was doing, you need to stop doing it. And she's like, well, we're good. You know, he ain't sent me home since or whatever, so I'm good. And she's like, that just means you stop doing whatever it was you were doing wrong because you definitely did something wrong for him to send you home. I'm like, you better preach, Mama Joyce. I've never agreed with Mama Joyce until this one. Right, and so to wrap it up, you guys, very sad scene. Torin and Brian sit down. They're having ice cream or something. And they're talking about old times, and Torin is saying, listen, I'm back, and I'm ready to be a friend again, so I'll be here for you, whatever you need. Brian says in the confessional that Torin didn't really leave me. I kind of pushed him away because I was going through all this stuff. He let him know how bad he was during the pandemic, and he was like throwing up blood. He was drinking a gallon of vodka every day, like it was a lot. And even on Speak on It, he told Kandi that he was on pills, he was on Adderall, he was on cocaine, he was on kind of a little bit of everything. Um, and then we find out that his sister committed suicide, and she shot herself in the head. And unfortunately, she was 49. They were really close, pretty girl. And he didn't say why or what she was going through or that she was going through anything, but it's only been 3 months, or from the time that they were taping it had only been 3 months. So uh sad. It was so sad, so sad. So again, we are just going to keep Brian lifted up in prayer because he is definitely going through a lot. I mean, we all are, believe it or not, we really all are. But yeah, we want the best for him. So if you are still here, you are the real MVP. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. If you have not already, please do subscribe and hit the like button, comment. Let's talk about it. What you think of the episode? And I will see you guys in the next video. Smooches.